I want you first to give us a short summary or explanation about your book, The McDonaldization of the Society, mainly talking about the 4 basics of this process of McDonaldization. I mean, efficiency, profitability, calculability, and control, which you did focus a lot in your book.
Okay. Sounds like you could do it just as easily as I could do it, but as you know, the way in which I define McDonaldization is as a process that is affecting more and more sectors of society and more societies around the world. So, from my point of view, this is a process that is being seen not only in the fast food industry in the United States, but in many other parts of society as well. And also, it's a global process, so that it is a process that's affecting many parts of the world, not just the 120 countries in the world in which there exists at least one McDonald's, but in many other societies which are affected perhaps more indirectly by the process of McDonaldization. So as you point out, the process of McDonaldization is defined by its basic principles, and those are efficiency. The McDonaldized system is a system which is oriented toward seeking the most direct means to whatever goal it might have. Predictability, meaning the idea in a McDonaldized system is for goods or services to be the same or pretty much the same from one time to another time, and from one place to another place. Calculability is an emphasis on things that can be quantified, on things that can be calculated. So McDonaldized systems tend to focus on
quantity over quality.
Large quantities of things, rather than focusing on the quality. Also, the focus is on low cost. So the focus on low cost, high quantity, large quantity, and what suffers in McDonaldized systems is the quality. And then finally, McDonaldized systems are characterized by control over employees and control over customers. And increasingly the control is being exerted by what I call non-human technologies, such as in the case of workers, machines that cook French fries automatically, or in the case of consumers, drive-through windows, where cars go through drive-through windows in a kind of assembly line sort of operation.
How can we apply, for example, those concepts in a traditional society? Are they applicable? Do they really have an impact on a traditional society, or only on a society like the American society?
Yeah. Are you still there?
Yes.
Okay. I think I heard more of that. Obviously, McDonaldization succeeds better in societies which are more like the United States, more non-traditional, more modern, or even postmodern. And the more traditional the society, the greater the difficulty of McDonald's or McDonaldized systems succeeding in those societies.
Yes.
But you know, McDonald's has succeeded in some societies which are at least more traditional than the United States. Let's say Turkey, for example. And so McDonald's and McDonaldization has made inroads into traditional society, but there's no question that there's a a conflict between McDonaldization, which really represents rationalization and modernization, and a conflict with more traditional kinds of societies. And so what you see very often in traditional societies is resistance to the process of McDonaldization. But, McDonald's and McDonaldization are very attractive in many parts of the world, and they're seen as something that's modern and new and representative of American society in a positive sense. And so once these kinds of systems get institutionalized in traditional societies, they tend to spread. But yet, of course, there's always going to be a conflict between the traditional elements of society and the McDonaldized elements of society.
What are the ways, to resist this McDonaldization?
Okay, all right. So, I talk in the book about a lot of things that can be done collectively and can be done individually. Mm-hmm. And so there are a lot of examples of organizations like the slow food movement in Italy, the McLibel organization in Great Britain, which are formed, at least in part, to oppose the spread of McDonaldization. So I think you can form organizations like that. Another device would be community organizations, where communities themselves, local communities, organize to protect the traditional elements of their society against McDonaldization. And then there are quite a few things that individuals can do alone or in concert with other individuals to resist McDonaldization. And the most obvious ones would be not to go to McDonald's, and conversely to use more traditional kinds of restaurants. But historically, McDonald's appeals to the younger generation in any society, and the young people are drawn to it for a variety of reasons, and the food is the kind of food that young people like, the toys that are given away, the kind of bright, shiny setting that is a McDonald's restaurant. And so the biggest problem is that the younger generation will be more and more attracted to those kinds of settings, and as they grow up and mature, they will become the future consumers in these kinds of settings.
Okay, why do you think we should oppose or resist this this process of McDonaldization or this influence? Why should we resist it?
Well, look, should is a kind of a personal, moral, ethical kind of question. I am a critic of the McDonaldization of society. I think it leads to, it has a lot of, we haven't talked about my major criticisms of McDonaldization, which are the irrationality of rationality. So from my point of view, McDonaldization leads to a lot of irrationalities, such as dehumanization or disenchantment, and the homogenization of the world. So I guess the answer to your question would be that people, should resist it because it has all of these negative kinds of consequences, beyond which there are the negative consequences of adverse effect on health, in terms of studies showing that obesity increases, that diabetes increases in people who eat too much of this kind of food.